Hey, everybody. It is the official Do Good Better podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Kirby. This is a show dedicated to celebrating the small nonprofits doing great big things. And we today have somebody who is doing great big things. Not as small as you'd think. Stick around for an amazing show. We have Julie Moser with us. Now, she is the founder. She is the executive director. She's a breast cancer survivor. She is a military spouse. And she is talking with us today about Pink Warrior Angels of Texas. Julie, welcome to the official Do Good Better podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Any opportunity to be able to share a story, big or small, so important to us.
I really think that that is the case. So if somebody's tuning in for the first time and they are like, Pink Warrior, what is this? Pink Warrior Angels of Texas? I've never heard of such a thing. Why don't you give listening audience, viewing audience, sort of who you are, how you got founded, and kind of your backstory?
So the idea of Pink Warrior Angels of Texas came about 6 years ago when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 2, invasive ductal carcinoma at the age of 39. And what tops it all off is it is the day that my husband deployed. On October 3rd, 2013, my husband deployed on another trip that he does with the military. He is a critical care flight paramedic, and they're always needed somewhere. So as I'm dropping him off in the morning, I noticed that I had a little bit of what looked like a burn under my left breast, which I thought was odd because I haven't been to a tanning bed, nothing of that nature. But I did go to the doctor, after wee hours in the morning into the normal day. And she said, Julie, I feel 3 lumps. And of course, it wasn't time for a mammogram. The mammogram standard is when you're age 40 as a female, you get mammograms and other tests and just kind of full workup. Well, that wasn't my case. I was 39. So immediately, a whirlwind of appointments as my husband's still transitioning to his place. It is mammograms, ultrasounds. Our anniversary that year on October 10th, 2013, I was having biopsies. And they went from, hey, we're just going to get a couple of pieces for biopsies to 24 pieces. So that was interesting and fun because then I really knew that something was not right any longer. And that's when I knew in my hearts of hearts. As my husband gets settled in, we have the opportunity with technology now to be able to call, to iMessage, however it might be. And we waited for what seemed like forever to get the test results. And I was working at Fort Hood and I took a later lunch and said, hey, I'm going to go mail this box to my husband. I'll be back. I'm just taking a later lunch today. And my doctor called. And when she called, we had already pre-agreed that I would come to her office because my children are very active in a lot of activities. I didn't want to be stuck at a soccer game or football game or something and getting news over the phone.
Sure.
But I could hear it in her voice. And so I called up my best friend and said, it's time to go in. And the doctor, she was crying before I even started. And all I saw on the paperwork was carcinoma. That's the only thing that I saw. And so began my journey with breast cancer. What I found was, I don't like to ask for help. Military spouses, we are resilient. We adjust. We take care of household six. So our soldier can go and do their mission and not have to worry about things back home. We did get the message to my husband to bring him back home. They did allow him to come home, which is what I needed. But in the midst of all that, what I learned was that we were not ever prepared for something to happen to me. What happens if I died? What happened if I couldn't do it? So, updating wills, living wills, all of your advanced directives was something that I didn't have as a military spouse that we always had for my husband. So that was a little bit of an eye-opener. But as he came home and we were going through this process, you don't hear a lot of things. It's a lot of big words that are thrown at you. And so I brought the best friend, the husband, and then somebody from work because the somebody from work wasn't so emotionally attached, but she could stay focused and take notes because me and my best friend just cried. and to go over options, what my life was about to be like. But then after a newness wears off of breast cancer, which is now in the month of October for me, everybody disappears.
Yeah.
So it's going to be who's going to pick up the kids, who's going to take care of the dogs, who's going to make dinner for my family, cut the grass, just the things that you don't realize that you need help with. Because I turned out to be a special patient. Go big or go home. One thing is normal for one person may not be normal for the next. And so I was the not common, maybe might happen, but not only did it happen, it happened big. Yeah. So I was always hospitalized or another surgery. Something was going on that my kids half the time didn't know who would be at my house to take care of them. And so that was hard as a mom who always took care of other people's children while their spouse was deployed or whatever it was. We were now having to ask for help. And we did. We learned to swallow that pride and do so. But with that, we moved into a brand new home. We had amazing credit. So we didn't ask anybody for money because now at this point, I don't know how we're going to pay our mortgage because I had to stop working for the government, how we're going to eat. And of course, in a new home, there's new contracts with the new alarm system, the new direct TV contract, the new everything.
Oh, sure.
But they really don't let you out of. They don't care that you have cancer. This is what we discovered. And so we didn't qualify for financial assistance. That's the other thing. Because as a military family, at the rank my husband was at the time, was just an E5, they say you make enough money threshold-wise, and they count housing and all these things, so we didn't qualify for school lunches. Jeez. We didn't qualify for any food stamps. We didn't qualify for a lot of things because we were a middle-class family. I was kind of stuck in that middle. I didn't like that. So we used our credit cards. We used my 401k, but nobody tells you that you get taxed the heck out of a lot of those things because I'm just not educated about that. Someone told me I should throw money in my 401k, so I had for 14 years. But then we already cut back on everything, on what we need for basics. And then some of my family stepped in and started paying the mortgage, the electric bill, the electric bill, gas money for your car, those types of things. I had people that would come and cut my grass free of service because we almost live on an acre lot. And so there's just things like that. And
you're probably fortunate. You're probably fortunate because you have the support system that you had built.
Yes. So even with my husband's chain of command, you know, they were like, how can we help? And so what I've learned over time is not how can you help? It's like, I'm going to the grocery store. What can I pick up for you?
Right.
When is the best time to come cut your grass? Not, you know, something specific, because we will push back naturally because that's what we do as strong women, as household stakeholders, you know, to make sure everything is good to go. Right. Once life was kind of coming in a different pattern and I was healing and doing all those things, I said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way, that there are more people like me who fall in that middle class family who don't qualify for things. And literally your bigger cancer nonprofits, won't go into branding, but the bigger ones that people know that are the most popular, I called them. And they don't have any money. They don't give money. They don't. And I'm like, one gave me a wig and I'm like, well, that's nice. Thank you. But how am I going to pay my mortgage continually? Yeah. So as we learn to be more humble and swallow that pride, we got crafty with how we cooked, how we did things. We had 7 dogs from a rescue. So the rescue's like, you keep them, we'll bring you food, you know, for them. And that was important to me. So as we formed Pink Wear Angels of Texas, pink is obviously the color of breast cancer. Warriors, because we were fighters. And somebody had made a shirt for us for fundraising once for Julie's Warriors. And we all know that warriors are fighters. And angels are somebody who can come support you, whether you ask for it or not. And of course, we live in Texas.
I love it.
So
Makes
that
perfect
is
sense to
how,
me.
yeah, that's how Pink Warrior Angels came about. And when we were a good year or so into it, we found that there's need for all cancers.
Mm.
And so as we have shifted a little bit of our mission, what is it? What is your color? You know, what is your color that you've been impacted by of cancer? Because most of the time, somebody knows somebody, grandparent, mom, dad, cousin, have had some sort of cancer, or a friend from school. For me, I didn't know anybody. So it was hard for me to know what was going to happen. In the movies, you get sick, you lose your hair, you grow it back. Now at 45, I have bones of an 80-year-old. When the cold front came through last night, oh, I knew it was coming.
I'd avoid vacationing in North Dakota just in case you're wondering this time of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Cold is something that is not my thing, because I shiver so much that your joints and your whole body just hurts.
So did you find individuals and families who were sort of experiencing this middle class sort of gap in services from a plethora of them, and that's kind of where your sweet spot, your niche is?
Yes.
There's a stopgap here, and I don't know where it's going to be fixed, but we'll be the plug to make sure
in between.
Yeah.
So literally, if somebody needs assistance from us, you just have to be a U.S. citizen.
Interesting.
So, and you just have to prove that you've had cancer or in treatment, which is super easy because nurse navigators are the best, or social workers are the best. But even if you're able to get a foundation grant from, say, a hospital, you still have to qualify for that.
Yeah.
Financial wise. So we don't, that's what makes us different and unique, is that we don't have that. So you have to be just a U.S. citizen. And that's because that's how we filed our IRS paperwork, that nothing is going out of country or anything of that nature. It's just in the United States. And as a military family, we know people from other installations, from other duty stations, or that they've PCS'd from Fort Hood, and they know somebody now that's been impacted, and how you need to reach out to Julie and her organization. She can help. So what we're shifting our gears for this year is, what is your color? And because people will get hung up on the color pink, but it is a very big part of who we are. So they just assume breast cancer. Those who know me, I'm breast cancer. I'm wearing pink. Our colors are pink and magenta and black. But what is your color? What is your color that starts your story of how you would want to help us as a cancer organization, how we can help your friend, your colleague who might be diagnosed, to be able to say, what is your color? What is your story that you can bring to us so we can help you?
With the backstory like that, you've got to have some pretty big, hairy, audacious goals that you have set forth for your organization going down the line, already transitioning from just pink to other colors, already sort of expanding your reach and your mission. Anything that you've got as sort of your big dreams that you've got for, your Pink Warrior Angels of Texas? What are those big goals that you've got laying down the road that you're starting to plan?
Well, and so some of the things that we're starting to plan is, I had somebody the other day actually ask me, why would we want to give to you? And is this just like, you do a lot of the work yourself? You have no staff. So if something was to happen to you, what happens to your organization? And I'm like, oh, but it lives on. It carries on. That's what we're setting everything up for. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, any of us, but that it does not die with me. If I'm not here, I anticipate somebody's going to step up and the legacy lives on. And that's what's important to me. And if it doesn't happen, I'd be haunting some people.
Yeah.
But
coming back as a ghost, for sure.
Yes. So we still work out of my home. And because I don't want to pay overhead costs.
Yeah.
So this big shift that we have, our big ultimate goal is to have a center that people can come and visit with us. We can help them fill out their applications. We can offer modified yoga and spirit mind healing to help them fill out their paperwork we have college scholarships for 2 people that had services from us, and they've really impacted our lives and vice versa, to help them fill out the paperwork, how to apply for these college scholarships that have been left in their legacy. So we are here to be the advocates of the young breast cancer survivor. And I say breast cancer because that's what I know the most, but I'm just Julie Moser from Copperas Cove, Texas, who has learned things over time. And I think my military, civil service experience to be so organized, I guess is the better word, to be able to keep things dress, and making sure that we're streamlining to something bigger and better. So as my husband puts it, I have these amazing dreams on a bare budget.
Yep.
So I'm like, but that's okay, because I'm going to get there, because if I don't continue to try, we will never know. So if we have a facility that we can be in Central Texas, whether we partner with a hospital or whomever, that we have that resource in place for people. Because I know for me, when they're like, well, we have support groups, I'm like, yeah, but you're 45 minutes away and I want to drive there. Or go to Austin. I don't want to drive to Austin. There's a lot of traffic. And oh, by the way, I don't have money for gas. So, going back and forth is a lot. So we try to do virtual things. We try to impact as many people who will listen, but also to advocate for that young cancer survivor whose doctor might be in a rural area that says, no, honey, you're too young. It's just a cyst, but refuses to do the mammogram. And you'd be surprised how many times I get that phone call. Yeah. And I'm like, then go to another doctor.
Right. Well, I like the fact that you describe yourself as a scrappy startup, but you also are very intentional about sort of working with and for partners and building that space and kind of doing that in the way. It's wonderfully outstanding, and I really like that. What does your nonprofit do better than anybody else? There's a lot of cancer organizations out there. What do you do better than anybody else?
Well, I think for us, honestly, is that with our qualifications are different for financial assistance. That I think that's one of the bigger pieces, and that it is just that. And so the other piece of it is how to really get out there and advocate for those young cancer survivors of any cancer, because you don't know what you don't know. It's like in the military spouse world, I call myself a seasoned spouse. I've been around for a hot second. And we've been through multiple deployments, multiple everythings that, Murphy's Law happens when they leave, just as soon as they leave,
of course.
That we are able to pull together, to find our resources, network. And if we don't have it, we'll go find it. And I literally will pick up the phone and go back through business cards, through anything that I've met somebody at a conference that helped us maybe move something or donated something, and go back and say, I need help. I have a special situation with this family and I need help. So we bring that personal aspect. So some people are like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you were going to call me as the founder. And I'm like, well, yeah, I was going to call you. And, I'm like, we have over 400 that we have helped in the last year, and our support group age average is 27 years old.
Interesting.
So as we connect in different networking communities, doctors, infertility specialists. So you think of a young woman who's going through cancer, for whatever cancer, she can't have a baby, or chemo does things to her body that she's not able to have a baby. That we know people who do surrogacy, or what is it called when they make the baby and put it in the baby? The infertility stuff that comes. And I never would have thought about that until a friend of mine, it happened to her. And so I follow her on Instagram. She gives so many people hope, because I already had 2 kids. I already had 2 kids. I've been married for a hot minute. I didn't want any more kids. That's why I have so many dogs. But that your mindset has got to think like these younger people who are not there yet, or the opposite. My mom is metastatic breast cancer. That is the biggest hit in the gut. There is no cure for metastatic breast cancer. That is my worst fear as a cancer survivor, is reoccurrence. And I'm at 6 years now, so my chances of recurrence starts dropping. But my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer 5 years after me. And then a year after that, she is now, it's all over her body. And so in the metastatic community, I was already learning and just to educate myself. And now here I am, my mom says, yeah, I'm not doing treatment. And I'm like, what, Mom? But you need to, because I know people who have lived 10 years. Yes, Mom, you need to. No, that's not what she wants. And so my job is to help families understand that transition and or respect their wishes. And of course, when hospice comes in, they do their thing, but that we're there as an organization to continue support and help. We've had the privilege of doing that. So here we are with my mom, full circle. I don't know what the next 12 months bring for me. So for what I want and need for our organization is the continuity of course, income for our organization to be able to continue our services, to be able to up and leave for me personally, if I need to, that the nonprofit's still running and doing its thing. Because I have to focus on my mom.
Yeah, no, well, that's an interesting thing, because if, I think donors are always looking for places to donate or give money to, and they're looking for folks who have sort of a vision and a plan and a mission, but they're also looking for documented success. And I think a lot of nonprofits are sort of like, all right, where's the impact? What are you doing? What sort of documented successes or some maybe a great, feel good story on your success that the nonprofit has had?
Well, we have several, which I'm blessed to have.
Yeah.
The most recent one that doesn't involve necessarily a person in particular was the Giving Tuesday military movement. So Giving Tuesday on December 3rd is in the day of where nonprofits are giving their big asks. So as we roll into the holidays, we have thankful Thanksgiving, Black Friday shopping, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, but then it comes Giving Tuesday right after. And so my dear friend, Maria Reed, who is Army Spouse of the Year here in the area, her and her two counterparts were like, hey, let's not ask for money because kindness does not cost anything. And they're like, Julie, you should do this with us. And I'm like, okay, whatever, we can do that. Sure, no problem. So the goal was not to ask for any money for donation. So we were going to give out our chemo care kits that we have. Well, as soon as I put out that this is what we're doing, all of our sponsors that have helped us in the past help us revamp our boxes, which turned into big bags with the blanket and natural lotions and lip balms and lemon candies and just fun stuff. Thrive Cosmetics, Texas Roadhouse gift cards, just all these wonderful things that this basket or this box that normally is $50 is now a $300 basket. And so we walked around to every cancer center locally and gave them out. And Maria and all her counterparts were pulled to New York to do today's show. So that left us here. She's like, oh, you got it, Julie. You're okay. You got it. And I'm like, yep, we got it. We'll figure it out. We'll roll with it. So that was their goal was to reach 1 million acts of kindness. They well surpassed that. So I'm super excited to be a part of that. That was one of the big successes that happened because it was, hey guys, we're going to do this Giving Tuesday military. We want you to join us in this huge movement of kindness and paying it forward. It does not cost you anything, but if you want to pay for the Starbucks behind, great, but it should not cost you anything. And it turned into this huge national thing that was awesome.
I love it. Again, this goes back and reiterates kind of your big thing, which is partnering up with other organizations, not doing this thing alone. There's a theme in your conversation here today, which is, we're sort of super independent, but there's a humility to ask, and we're going to go and ask and look at the amazing things that you do as sort of partnering up for a lot of those things. Part of that, you've got teammates and partners and sort of collaborators on this whole thing.
Yes.
A lot of this, sort of, yeah, let's celebrate a big win or sort of some documented successes things, but let's share the love and sort of build up others who helped you get to where you are.
Oh,
There's
yes.
probably countless. But is there
Yeah.
are a couple people that your individual organizations or whatever that you would love to just give shout outs to on, we couldn't have done it without you, and
Right.
who?
And John Valentine of Operation Phantom Support. I know when I first started out, they have a pantry, and their pantry is special and a little bit different than any other pantry, but they service military families and help kind of bridge that gap.
And who happens to be a fantastic guest on the official Do Good Better podcast.
Yes,
Wink, wink,
he is amazing. So I call him John. Some people call him Nick. Depends on how you got introduced to him, but he's John to me. But he has such an amazing program, and I'm like, well, how do you do this or how do you do that? Because we just started establishing, and so anything that he finds that works well, I get a text message. He did that yesterday for me. So John from Operation Phantom Support is just a phenomenal organization, which then turned into Maria Reed from Moving with the Military TV Productions. She's got such an amazing talent that I don't have on the flip side of producing TV shows. And she does room makeovers, with military families. And literally she called me one day and said, this family was nominated and we're going to do this on Fort Hood, yada, yada. But their daughters too. And she just found out she has leukemia. I'm like, oh, we're on it. So at 80 degrees, we were outside decorating her house. It was so warm, dressed up in our Santa hats. And I'm like, I know a snow guy, big snows. We had snow and Santa came and gifts, and all of us were there to be able to give her at Christmas and show all these pretty lights. Because remember when you were young and you got to see all the Christmas lights and stuff, it's magical. And so to be able to produce that with her was just phenomenal. And she's a very big supporter of ours too. And so the other one is big three is Sean Smith. He is a local Covite, we call ourselves, who was born here, raised here, went through all the schools here. He is the general manager of our Raising Cane's of Copperas Cove. And not only do they have a community program, #OneLove, because of the mission of their founder. Yeah. Sean, in his heart, is just over the top. And he's been affected by cancer. So I'll put something out and he's almost the first person to respond to me every single time. But he publicly doesn't want the credits or anything over here. Like, we have to pull him into pictures with us or give him, like, we have to pull him because he doesn't want that. And I'm like, but you are part of our reason that we are successful as well. And so Sean Smith, Raising Cane's.
those are the best volunteers. Those are the best people to work with, is those who do it for the love of the mission and the enthusiasm, get it done. Kudos to that's amazing. Well, part of the show, I like to give back to an organization that kind of comes on the show and sort of spends some time with me as well. So I would love to help you with any fundraising particular question you have, and help out in any way that I can, in the fundraising world. So any question that you might have on all things fundraising that I can help with you.
So it's amazing, because we're always trying to figure out how to do better in finding funding other than grants. The grants are new to us, but one of the big things is, how do we get corporate companies more involved? As we have discovered in our small town, it is the who you know. But how do we get the bigger corporate companies to be able to either find us, or how do we find them to apply to get the card that maybe we could raffle off, if you will? The big corporate sponsors that you see on other bigger organizations, they're tagged upon there. I'd like them to be tagged on us.
Yes.
Well,
there's two schools of thought here. One, they've probably got a list of organizations that they work with, but there is a second tier of businesses that aren't the ones that you see everywhere, that really are, I think, the biggest value that you can do to pursue. And the reason is like nobody's approaching them as rapidly as the ones who are well known. You're offering them a top spot of promotion on a lot of your items, and like you know, everybody's
Mm-hmm.
affected by cancer in some sort of way. And so if there is somebody within their organization that you can say, listen, as an example of what we do, these are the things from care baskets to scholarships to financial assistance, et cetera. Not a lot of people know the answer of, well, what do I do to help somebody who gets a diagnosis or a family that gets a diagnosis?
Mm-hmm.
Some families like you're in the offset, you don't want to ask for help, right?
Right.
So you're the front line of able to figure out how some of these businesses can make a significant impact and all you need to do is make that and draw that line so they say, listen,
Right.
you don't have to ask and it doesn't have to be awkward, but we can help individuals who are connected to your business by providing you the resources and the wherewithal to help to answer that question. How? We've got it. And we know that you're probably dedicated to this cause, but you may not know how. We'd love to partner with you to say,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to take the guesswork out of it, but you're going to get all the credit and you're going to get all the feel goods from making this a reality. But don't necessarily go and stop at the big boys and girls first. Try to get those second tier, maybe even third tier ones, because I think that is a really, really, really important thing to do.
Right.
Past
Right.
opportunity too, because they're not hounded all the time. They're probably hounded, but they're not hounded all the time on that thing. So.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's something that we're slowly learning because, again, I have big dreams and ambitions. I'm very aggressive on my
Yes.
bare budget. So, I appreciate anything as I learn or watch webinars or anything that I can soak into my little brain and say, hey, we need to try this and see if it works. And so we're not spending a lot of time on it, but that it's rewarding also at the same time. Because it's not about me. It's about that next person who applies for financial assistance.
Yep.
And she's asking for $1,100 for her rent or mortgage, plus electric, plus gas, that we're able to say yes to all of them. We have a budget monthly that we go through. That's the other thing that makes us a little different is that we make sure we have money all year round.
Oh, I love that.
Because there's a lot of organizations that'll refer to us because they're out of money.
Here's another thing that you can tell to your corporate donors is we're an organization that makes sure that we always have money all the time. We're not an organization with our hands out all the time trying to make ends meet. We've got them met. We want to now exceed. More money, more mission, not no money, no mission, right?
Right,
so what
right.
you're promoting
I
is
like that.
Business sense too. I like that as well. Well,
yeah.
I cannot believe it, but we're already at the end of our show. This has been remarkably fun. I know that we said that it was going to be 20 minutes. This has gone way on longer because this is way more intriguing than only a 20-minute show. But I want to give you, the floor is yours. If somebody is out there, they're listening or they're watching, and they're saying, this is something that I can get behind. This is super fun, super awesome. This is unique.
Right.
I know I can make a difference by giving you a whole bunch of cash. I want to know how. So, Julie, the floor is yours. Promote away. How can individuals help your organization, the Pink Warrior Angels of Texas, to the best of their ability, and go?
So the first and foremost is please visit our website. Our website has a plethora of information. So pwatx.org. And from there, you will see all the different tabs of what we do, our stories, our survivor stories, what we've done in the media, to how you can give whichever amount to sponsoring a chemo care kit, to be able to give that link to your friend who might need to apply. And then we also have a special button that has some merchandise on there, because who doesn't like a nice hoodie? And then, well, maybe not in Texas right now, but you in North
Definitely
Dakota.
In North Dakota they do.
And then that we also have a program for our volunteers. So with our volunteers, if you want to be an angel to someone, you can apply to be an angel, which is someone who takes and communicates with someone going through treatment, or you can be interactive with us as a volunteer, and you do not have to be local to us, because it's, I want to volunteer, but I don't have 10,000 to give you. What can I do? Well, I can tell you, you can do something in your community that would impact and support us. And then, of course, it links to all of our social media, because everybody knows on Facebook and now Instagram, you can donate directly to us from there. And sharing that is key. And so sharing is caring. Doesn't cost you a penny. And we certainly appreciate you checking us out on our website. There's an email there if you need more information outside of what I've explained, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
Outstanding. We will drop all of that information in the show notes as well, and then we'll link it up on all of our social pages.
Perfect.
So get out there, and you don't have to be in Central Texas to help out. That's the best part about this organization. You can send them money, or you can be an angel from a distance, whether you're 1,000 miles away north or you are right down the street. This is a wonderful organization. Julie, I am so glad that we got you today. Thank you so much for coming on. I think it's one of the more remarkable organizations. And again, it's one of those things where you are filling a gap of something that is not done, and that is amazing. And thank you so much for what you do. But more so, thank you for being a guest on the official Do Good Better podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I love it. All right. Well, we will talk to you soon. Again, show notes. Go give them a bunch of money. This was fun. Thank you for being on.